汇集天下大事，聚焦华人热点。西雅图中文电台网络电视。
And understanding between people of different backgrounds. We meet the demands of people's learning Chinese language and culture by supporting with Chinese instructors, volunteers, teaching materials and online courses, Chinese proficiency tests, HSK and YCT, scholarships and workshops, summer camps, and cultural exhibitions and performances.
1,000 high schools in America. He chose one, and he came to my high school. When he was in the Pacific Northwest, he went to Boeing, he went to Microsoft, and he went to Lincoln High School. And when he was there, he and Madam Peng were nothing but kind and charming. And he and I walked down the hall as we're heading up to the auditorium after seeing a few events. And he said, "Do you have your students study abroad?" And I said, "And if you know anything about Lincoln High School?" I said, "No, my students are rather poor, and they don't have the means to travel abroad, airfare, passports, visa, etc." So what I heard was in his speech, he was going to ask for 10 students to come to China as his guest. Well, he got up there and spoke, and he invited 100 students from Lincoln High School to go to China. So that began an amazing journey, and I was helped by my great friend, Dr. Hodge here, who's my former boss and somebody who helped facilitate the trip and also went on the trip with us. And it was the best experience of my life and the best experience of my kids' lives, where we had 11 days in China, 4 different cities, 14,000 miles. And these are kids, 92 of whom had never been out of the country, 70 of whom had never been on a plane, many of whom had only recently been across the Narrows Bridge or to downtown Tacoma. So we had an amazing experience there, and since then, I've been able to go to China 6 different times, and I've been to Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Chengdu, Fuzhou, Beijing, Shanghai, Zhuhai rather, etc. But I had the really great fortune to work with May last year when I went to Chongqing, working with the Confucius Institute. Now, Dr. Hodge and I have been working on this for a while to get Chinese language back at Lincoln, because we had it for a time, but to find a Chinese language teacher in America who can speak and teach Mandarin is really, really hard. So we put in the application, and then last year we had Cassie, who came from USAID, and then this year we have Elvin, who's right there, who's awesome. He's an amazing teacher, and he also came from Chongqing. And if you haven't been to Chongqing, it's a quiet little town of about 33 million people. And I had the opportunity to go there last year and lead a delegation from Seattle. And I think there were about a dozen of us there, and it was really one of the great trips of my life. So I bring all of this up because for all of the students in the room, and for the 2 young ladies who did such a nice job and are doing such a nice job, learning and understanding Chinese language, history, and culture can open up the world for you in ways that you can't even imagine. When we were in Chongqing, we left to go to Beijing for the final 2 days of our trip, and I met a student of mine from Lincoln who was studying Mandarin in China. He went out to dinner with us and with the teachers from Seattle, and he's now back in Beijing, and he wants to go to grad school there. And when I look at this young man who grew up again on the south end of town, didn't have much money to his name, but now is in a position where he can do whatever he wants. He can be a consultant here in America working with a Chinese company. Whatever he wants to do, he can do, because understanding Mandarin and the history and the culture is so profoundly important that it's going to change his life and his family's life forever. Now, President Xi wrote a letter to my students, and I'm lucky to have 3 different correspondences from President Xi, but we have one that is just this frameable quality letter from he and Madam Peng, and in it he said, "The children are our future." Okay, the children are our future. So the more that all of the students out here in the audience can work with each other, so American students and Chinese students going to each other's countries. We just had 30 students here from Duzhongyan, Chengdu, and Minyang, and the visits keep coming. That's vitally important for us to get, for Americans to get over to China and Chinese students to come here. So anyhow, That's my goal. That's the goal to fulfill President Xi's vision, and I hope that we can all work together doing that. So thank you for coming out today.
Chinese culture and history and language. We currently have 30 majors and minors in our Chinese studies program, which is quite a lot if you know anything about the size of our university, and we're continuing to grow that program. At PLU, kind of cross-campus, we've been, like Mr. Irwin was describing for Lincoln, we've been expanding our partnerships with various locations in China and have a semester away program that students can do in Chengdu. And we currently have quite a large population of Chinese students on our campus, and we're projecting to increase that number as we get more supports for international students on campus. And finally, I'm really pleased to give a shout out or a greeting to Hu Huan. Are you here?
最渺小的我，有大大的梦。时间向前走，一定只有路口，没有尽头。纷纷扰扰这个世界，所有的了解，只要让我留在你身边。最渺小的我，有大大的梦。我愿意安静地活在每个有你。 谢谢，如果对你不够，别计较太多。走吧，暴风雨后的彩虹。这一辈子，有没有为别人拼过命？也许会。